it's good. I call the 2450th meeting of the Milwaukie City Council to order. This meeting is being held in person at City Hall and by video conference. The public may participate in this meeting by coming to City Hall or joining the Zoom webinar. The meeting is being broadcast live on the city's YouTube channel and on Comcast Cable Channel 30 within city limits. There will be opportunities for the public to speak during this meeting. If you would like to address council, you may come to City Hall or participate via Zoom. If you are interested in speaking, please let staff know by filling out a yellow comment card. Some of you have already done that for those at City Hall, or by emailing ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov for those on Zoom. When it is time to take public comments, staff will monitor the comment cards, email inbox, and Zoom participant list and chat. We will take comments in the order they are received and seen. Comments may be emailed to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. We ask that all Zoom participants who intend to speak label their Zoom username to show their first and last names for the record. Translation services are also available in multiple languages, and we have a slide that says that in multiple languages. So please see the information on the slide. For details, we generally ask for 48 hours notice ahead of time if you do need translation services. So with that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The City of Milwaukie respectfully acknowledges that our community is located on the ancestral homeland of the Clackamas people. In 1855, the surviving members of the Clackamas signed the Willamette Valley Treaty, also known as the Kalapuya Etc. Treaty, with the federal government in good faith. We offer our respect and gratitude to the indigenous people of this land. And then we have our announcements. Join me this Friday, June 5th at 5 p.m. here at City Hall for the annual State of the City Address. I will speak about the city's recent accomplishments and what is to come for the rest of the year. Afterwards, attendees are encouraged to spend the evening enjoying First Friday festivities. First Friday is being coordinated by the Downtown Alliance of Milwaukie this year and includes live music, sales, contests, and special offers at downtown businesses. And I would call out that our own Councilor Stavenjord's business, B-Side, is starting a night market, correct?
Yep, it starts this Friday and goes every Friday through the summer, with the exception of the 4th of July weekend.
So 5 to 9 p.m., is that
Correct.
the hours? Yep. So that'll be a fun new addition to downtown on the weekends. 3 of the city's neighborhoods are holding neighborhood-wide yard sales this Saturday, June 6th. That's the Linwood, Lake Road, and Hector Campbell neighborhoods. Sales are expected to begin at 9 a.m. and go till 1 p.m., but some sales may go longer. Visit the city calendar at milwaukieoregon.gov to find information about each neighborhood sale. Just with editorial comment, I love that the neighborhoods are doing this. They do this ahead of the bulky waste day. And so it's so great because they, one person's waste is something else that someone else may use. So I love that they do this ahead of the bulky waste day so that not everything goes to the landfill and some things find reuse. Stop by Scott Park next to the Letting Library this Saturday, June 6th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for a free concert. The Sojourner Elementary School Marimba Band will be playing high-energy music originating from Zimbabwe for 3 hours. I kind of think that's 11 to noon. Oh, it is 11 to noon on the slide. Okay, it says 2 p.m. on my script. Sorry, it is 11 to noon. Okay. 3 hours? Those poor kids. I was just worried about those kids. The annual curbside pickup for large bulky items for Milwaukie residents is coming up on Saturday, June 13th and Saturday, June 20th. Please be sure to check the city calendar to find out which day your neighborhood is serviced, along with other important information. I do think there was some change. We heard that recently when we met with the haulers in terms of where the dividing line is between which neighborhoods are when. So definitely check the website. Did you know that Milwaukie has a group that meets on the third Monday of each month whose goal is to advocate and educate the community about critical climate action efforts? The group is called Milwaukie Advocates for Climate, and they next meet at City Hall on Monday, June 15th from 5:30 to 6:30. For more information about these events, please visit the city's homepage at milwaukieoregon.gov or call 503-786-7555. Okay. So I do a haiku every month, and the author of this haiku is here in the audience. And so, dogwood sways in breeze, goose honks loud in joyful pride, Milwaukie blooms bright, bro. Nicole, who wrote will be up here in a few minutes on our, talking about our Pride event coming up. But first, we start with Principal Lewis Mayer and the Milwaukie High School, Milwaukie Academy of the Arts Student of the Month.
Good evening, Mayor Beatty, council members. Great time. You know, this is my favorite time each month. Get to show off of what we're doing at Milwaukie, not we, but scholars and the staff here. I'm just here to just facilitate what they're doing, the greatness, which makes it easy for me. I think I outdid myself this time for the last one for the school year. This gentleman next to me, Jacob McGinley, I just told him the other day, and I just told him a little while ago, even at my age and his age, he inspires me. What I see, how he conducts himself, just his artistic, exemplary playing of multiple instruments. Last week we had our chorus, our band and orchestra concerts, and Jacob doing something else. He played something else I didn't know he could play. I had to ask. I thought it was a piccolo. I couldn't make it out. He just told me it was a tin whistle. Impressive as always. He seems to be the resident pianist for us at the school. Just an outstanding individual, and I'm glad to be here to show him off to you all. And so Jacob McGee, as you can see, 4.0 GPA. Graduation is this Saturday, right? Yeah. You did it, son. You did it. As you can see, his impressive SAT scores, 1510. X of 1600 is perfect, so kudos to you. On track, of course, with the honors diploma. His leadership and involvement, he's a choir tenor section leader, choir council member, choir piano accompanist, junior and senior year, assisted the choir with individual parts, and performed alongside them at concerts and competitions. You need to hear him. I did put I think I did include where you get to hear a snippet.
Do you want to?
On the next, did you include it? It was on the next, yeah, it's there.
Okay.
We'll, after I get through, yes.
Okay. Okay.
This is when he went to state. He represented us at state, made it to state.
Yeah.
Congratulations, son. Community and professional experience, elementary school piano accompanist and at Scouters Mountain Elementary, Milwaukie High School, pit musician, keyboard, percussions for sophomore, junior, and senior years. OMEA All-State Wind Ensemble, third chair, alto saxophone, Western International Band Clinic in his junior and senior years. Most recently, the second chair for the alto saxophone. OMEA State Solo Competition, which you'll see in the snippet. High saxophone, second place. He came in second. Great job. Portland Youth Philharmonic Wind Ensemble saxophonist. I'm in denial. I need to wear glasses. So excuse me. I'm still trying to fight, thinking my age. I'm aging, so I need to stop. Okay, Oregon Ambassadors of Music Ambassador. He's going to be he's one of three that was selected to be Oregon ambassadors of music. And this summer, he'll be traveling through Europe. That was last year. Okay, so they continuing it. We have 3 more this year, but he's already done it. And an inducted thespian. Yes, you are. Advanced academic pursuits, AP World History, scored a perfect 5, AP Statistics 5, taking AP Lit, AP Government, AP Calculus. This is an AP person in his senior year. He also took a calculus workshop at Reed College. I'd like to introduce to you all Scholar Jacob McGinley.
Thank you. So we usually each take a turn chatting with you and asking you questions, but I think if there is a tape, why don't you go ahead and...
Unfortunately, because we were sharing through Zoom, we have issues playing audio. I will share the link with council.
Okay, okay. Well, too bad. But sounds like you've probably been recorded many times because you perform in so many different ensembles and things. So awesome. The question I usually like to start with is asking, what are you doing after graduation?
Well, I'm planning currently to go to University of Oregon. I'm still waiting right now for waitlist decisions from University of Washington. So if I get accepted to there, I might end up going there. But it's looking like Oregon right now, and I plan to major in mathematics.
Okay, awesome. Well, tell us a little bit more about the European travel with the music.
Yeah, so that was a 2-week endeavor in the summer between my sophomore year and junior year, and it was really cool. So we rehearsed at OSU for like 3 days, I believe, and then we all got on a plane, like over 400 students, I believe. It was band, orchestra, and choir, and we performed in like I think 4 or 5 different places all around Europe, in like Italy, Austria, Czech Republic, places like that. And it was really cool. And we got to meet so many different people and show what music is like in America and in Oregon. And it was really cool.
That's awesome. 400, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Those were students from all around the state?
Yeah.
Yeah, and music, choir, and, choir.
Band and orchestra.
And band and orchestra, yeah. Okay, great. Do you have a favorite city from that trip?
Lucerne, Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
It's so beautiful there.
Yeah, yeah. A mountain. So it's got changing, no, okay. So I will offer up to my other counselors. Shall we start with Counselor Stavengard?
Hey, Jacob. I had the privilege of listening to your solo at the choir and band and orchestra concert. And it made me think about kind of the duality that you have. You have this beautiful musical ability and this mind that focuses on math. And so I guess that kind of makes me think about the MA program at the high school and how this integration with art has an influence on all of the things that that you normally learn in high school. So I was wondering if you could share just a little bit about what the MA experience has been for you, and if you would recommend it to other students.
Yeah, so I'm actually in MHS for all 4 years, but I feel like my home is definitely in the MA community. Just all of my friends are within that community. So, but I don't know. I feel like art can be found within any facet of our lives, and that includes education and that includes learning. I mean, music is both such an expressive form of art, but it's also mathematical in, how precise you have to be in the tempos and just the general feel of it. And so I feel like they intertwine really nicely in a way that most people don't necessarily see it. And so I've always loved math and I've always loved music, and I feel like they just coexist so nicely, and that's why I want to continue doing both after high school. So
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, Counselor Sevenger, I was interested in that too, because, there's formulas in music and there's formulas in math. So I was trying to see if that was in fact a correlation where it's a little bit identical, but not, they're parallel. But with math being I just want to know, I was never really good at math. Not because I was like, I just didn't like, it's like, when am I going to use logarithms, right?
yeah.
But I'm intrigued by people who like major in that subject, because it's just more than what I can comprehend when you get into the calculus stuff and things like that. I'm curious, like, what gravitated you towards mathematics?
Well, I think I've always had a fascination for it, but recently I feel like I said earlier, I took AP Statistics my junior year, and I'm saying this in all honesty, that was the most useful class I've ever taken in high school, solely because there's so many applications to it in data analysis of anything you can think of, whether and there's so many real world applications to it, from like, you know, brain, like neurosurgery kind of stuff, to, populations in cities and demographics. And so I really find that stuff really interesting, and I want to be able to connect, numbers and data to having a real world effect. And so that's, I said I want to be a math major, but I kind of want to go more into a field of data science and statistics and that kind of thing. So
That's a heck of an answer. Do you plan on continuing your musical career? I would
oh,
call it,
absolutely.
as well?
Yeah. I was originally actually going to major in it, but I was like, I found myself being more stressed out and not enjoying it as much if I have to do it for a grade and I have to perform at a level that I don't want to perform at. I want to perform at what I feel is my best, and just in a way that I can have as much fun with it. And so I want to do it on the side, and because I love it so much that I can't give it up, even if I'm not majoring in it. So
I gotta say, young man, I really appreciate your honesty, and this world could use a lot more of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. It's very refreshing. And I do wonder what Mr. Mayor is going to do for a piano player next year, but I will turn it over to our council president.
Jacob, I think you're our first person to put up your AP scores. So an audacious move. I really like it. You've got some great scores to flex. Normally I feel like we ask really profound questions, but I'm just so fascinated by your field and your interest in music. I've never really appreciated classical music or the theory of music. To the lay people who are all in this audience, like, if we want to learn a little bit more about the field that you find really impressive and worthwhile, what's a song that you recommend we look at, or what's something that you recommend we do to connect with the passion that you have?
I think for me, I get goosebumps a lot when I listen to really powerful music. If music is, I don't know how to describe it, but just it touches your soul in a way that I don't think anything else can, per se. I have a lot of good songs, but the one that I performed at the choir concert is, I think, definitely one. It's called Liebestrom Number 3 by Franz Liszt. And it's such a powerful piece in that it's so tender at times, but then so sweeping and vast and just powerful beyond anything I've ever heard. And so it's just, when you have contrast in music, it almost like emphasizes everything even more. And so having such tender moments mixed with powerful emotional moments is what I really love about music.
Thank you so much for sharing that passion with us all here. I think a lot of us are going to probably go look at that song later. So I appreciate it.
Hi, Jacob. I'm not sure if it would be better for you to enroll at the University of Oregon, or maybe be a professor at the University of Oregon. Because I already know that you have conquered the space-time continuum, because I don't know how a human can do all of this in a 24-hour time period. But you've figured that out, and so I salute you for all of those things. I agree with you. Statistics is so powerful. It's one of my favorite subjects because it touches all scientific endeavors, business endeavors, political endeavors. So there are lots of real world avenues you can go with that kind of background. So I salute you for that as well. I suspect that you didn't get here by yourself. Is there a cheering section with you you'd like to introduce?
Yeah, my mother and aunt, my dad is in Atlanta right now. I believe he's watching though.
Hi, Dad.
But yeah, so they've been my cheering squad, like you said, and they've been so supportive of everything. In fact, the reason I started playing piano was because my dad bought me an electric keyboard, I believe, for Christmas when I was like 9 years old, and then I started playing it that summer, and it just, he said it's the best purchase he's ever made. So
Well, your cheering squad has got big smiles on their face because they're very proud of you, as they should be. Thank you for coming. And it's good to see you out of your sling. Principal.
Yeah, yeah.
Principal.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor Beatty, I might have a way to play the music if you want me to try.
Okay, yeah, let's give it a try.
Apologies if this hurts anyone's ears because of the screeching. Can you hear it? Anything? Are you hearing it?
Play the saxophone.
Wow. That's lovely. Thank you. I'm glad. Thank you, Scott, for figuring out a way to make it work. So I do have a proclamation in your behalf to read, but before I do that, I thought I would ask one or both of you to talk to us a little bit about end of school year activities at the high school. Graduation on Saturday? Did you say Saturday?
You go ahead, Jake.
you can go first.
No. Please.
Well, I'm gonna get some much needed rest, that's for sure. But we're also, me and my family are gonna go to London for 2 weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. And I guess just getting ready for a new chapter.
Yeah.
Getting ready to go to college.
Yeah, cool. So graduation is Saturday, last day of school is, seniors are probably out already, huh?
We have, I think our last day of school is Thursday, and
Okay.
then we have Friday graduation practice.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot still going on. It doesn't seem like the end of the year because we still have a lot going on, but it's great things. Yesterday we had the Mars Showcase where I guess the talent abound as always, as you were there to witness too. Tomorrow's Pony Piper Showcase, and thank you. And we have senior awards Thursday evening too, and then practice on Friday. Then student senior assembly on Friday, then the tour of schools where the seniors get to go out to their elementary schools. So a lot is going on. And Saturday, graduation. Yes, get to exhale a little bit because there's still school going on the week after for the 9th through 11th graders.
Okay.
But we are winding down.
Okay.
Yes, the end is near.
Well, congrats to you too, Principal Mayor,
Well,
for a
I'm
great
just-
first
They
year.
make it easy for me, so thank you. They make it easy for me though.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Was there more slides? No, just, okay.
Oh, you wanted the other to go, was it the achievements you wanted to go through?
Sure.
Oh.
If you've got something you want to
Okay.
tell us? Brag, yeah.
Let's brag. Okay, so highlights for the 25-26 school year. Am I controlling this too? Okay. So the Mustang Way, all day, every day. Thank you, sir. So go through, have some categories for academic excellence. So for the class of 2026, we have 20 valedictorians and 2 salutatorians. This class of 2026 earned more than 3.4 million in scholarship offers, which is fantastic. We have 258 scholars that took advanced placement courses this school year. We're creeping up to where almost a third of the total enrollment are taking in advanced coursework, which is great. And by grade levels, as you can see, 70 sophomores, 93 juniors, and 95 seniors enrolled in AP courses. Our Milwaukie High School Speech and Debate Program earned a top 10 academic all-state certificate, meaning that they were within the state. They had the top 10% of highest GPAs. Arts and Performing Arts Excellence. The Milwaukie Academy of the Arts, we were renewed for 5 years, so it affirms the strength and success of the program. Band scholars qualified for and performed at the state level. Jacob represented us there. That's what you heard from that piece. Milwaukie High School qualified for the On Point Community Credit Union Choir State Championship at Oregon State University. My scholars were selected to participate in the Oregon Ambassadors of Music, in which Jacob participated 2 years ago. So we have 3 more going this year out of 380 some odd scholars throughout the state. We have representation there. Student leadership and recognition. So our student council was recognized by the state for our student council for developing student leaders and having a fantastic program, which is a great to be recognized for. Our Milwaukie High School scholar became the first Mustang to compete in the speech and debate since 2001. So that's a marking historic milestone for the program. As we go into athletics, our football team tied for first place within the division and reached the playoffs for the first time since 2018. And golf, became the first Mustang in more than 10 years to qualify to go to state. Salute to Riley for representing us there. And Kennedy from Milwaukie High School wrestler earned the title of state champion in freestyle wrestling. State qualifiers and state level participation within athletics. As you can see, the boys cross country, they qualified for state. Boys swimming sent an individual state qualifier. Girls wrestling sent an individual state qualifier. The dance team, our cheer team, both went to state. Boys in track field, which was just recent, earned some individual awards within certain events. They made individual state qualifiers. The girls track and field, same thing, state qualifiers. And as I mentioned before, the girls golf went to individual state qualifier. And just to wrap it up, because I could go on for more, but just to say the community impact it has, 258 scholars challenging themselves with AP coursework, 3.4 million in scholarships earned, 20 valedictorians and 2 salutatorians. Our charter renewal was renewed. Our state representation in academics, art, music, leadership, and athletics, and the historic achievements and state champions across multiple programs. Bless you. So when our scholars succeed, we all succeed. These accomplishments reflect not only the hard work of our scholars and staff, but also the investment of the city of Milwaukie, our parents, community departments, that make an investment in public education. So together, we are developing scholars that are college and career ready, they're civically engaged, as I brought some others as you saw, and artistically inspired. So together, we do achieve more. So thank you.
Awesome. Let's give a round of applause for the accomplishments of our high school. Okay, so turning back to Jacob, I do want to read the proclamation. So, the City of Milwaukie is proud to recognize for outstanding student achievement in academics, civic engagement, and extracurricular activities at Milwaukie High School, Jacob McGinley. Let it be known that on this second day of June, 2026, the City Council of the City of Milwaukie, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, recognized this student as an excellent example of the bright future of this community and nation.
Thank you.
Oh. Okay, we have a couple of proclamations. Before we launch into those, I just wanted to note, we ended up canceling our second meeting in May. And so we had some proclamations that night that did not get read. We didn't end up posting them or anything on the website.
We didn't post the proclamations because they really weren't proclaimed, but
Right.
we tried to do a social media shout out for
Okay.
all the topics that we
Okay.
missed. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so the proclamations we missed, just for the record, and look for them next May, are Dogwood Day, Historic Preservation Month, Public Works Week, and Memorial Day. And so now we will turn to our proclamation for Pride Month, and I'll invite up Nicole Osmus and Gabriella. Are you
I think
coming?
Gabriella's
Nope.
going to stay back and
Okay.
I'll give the little city staff
Oh,
update
okay.
we talked about.
Okay. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Osmus, and I'm the organizer of Milwaukie Pride, which will be held this year on Saturday, July 25th from 10:30 to 2:30 at Scott Park behind the Ledding Library. Being able to create opportunities for joy and community building in our wonderful city is such a pleasure for me. We have so many talented and kind and passionate people in Milwaukie, and I truly look forward to all of the continued growth that we have been seeing in the city. An example of the growth is the difference in our Pride event programming for this year. We will have double the vendors and resource booths. We will give out more free Luna's ice cream this year. We've extended the music and entertainment by a full hour. We've worked with Bike Milwaukie to coordinate a Ride to Pride event that will highlight some of Milwaukee's newest bike paths and encourage Pride attendees to bike to the event, which will hopefully reduce traffic and congestion downtown. We've also collaborated with the library to bring in a well-known author for a reading and a book signing. And we will also be having a spectacular after-party wrap-up at B-Side Records and Vintage. In the past year, we've also seen the development of 2 local organizations that have been created to focus on providing support to our LGBTQIA+ community. QUIC, or QYCCC, which is the Queer Youth Collective of Clackamas County, which provides drop-ins, resources, and events for local youth. And Peacock, Pride Coalition of Clackamas County, which will serve as a networking and collaborative group made up of Pride organizers and other community leaders. Our Milwaukie Pride event reflects our city's growth in action, and the residents of the city are Milwaukie Pride. We can't wait to see you on Saturday, July 25th at Scott Park. This celebration belongs to all of us, and you belong here. And I'd like my daughter to read the proclamation.
Awesome.
Whereas the fight for equality continues for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, and other historically marginalized members of our community, LGBTQIA+, and the responsibility falls on all of us to form a more inclusive and equitable society. And whereas June 28th, 2026 marks the 57th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, 6 days of demonstrations sparked by the targeting and arrest by police of gay, lesbian, and transgender bar patrons in violation of their civil rights, an event widely recognized as the beginning of the modern gay rights movement. And whereas history has failed to properly recognize the role of the leaders of the Stonewall Uprising, including Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, transgender women of color who helped spark this movement. And whereas in 2000, President Bill Clinton declared June to be Gay and Lesbian Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall Uprising. And in 2009, President Barack Obama expanded the commemoration by declaring June to be Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month. And whereas, despite the progress of recent years, LGBTQIA Americans continue to face discrimination and new attacks by state governments and other political figures on the legitimacy of their human rights, including their very right to exist.
Now, therefore, I, Lisa Beatty, Mayor of the City of Milwaukie, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, do hereby proclaim June 2026 as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month in Milwaukie in support of our LGBTQIA+ family, friends, and neighbors, and to proclaim that love is love, you are valued and welcome, and your city stands with you. Thank you, guys. And did Emma have...
I just wanted to first thank Nicole so much for her leadership. It's so exciting to see how this Pride event is growing under your stewardship, and we are so happy to be a support. And just to share a little update with those watching and with council, you probably know that for years the city has had a Pride flag installed on the pavement in Kronberg Park. We love that, and in the spot that it was at, it was a little out of sight and a little away from kind of the main action in downtown. B, it was hard to repair. And C, and I don't really want to spend much time talking about this, but sometimes it would get in a little bit of damage and we want to be able to repair it really fast. So we made the decision to remove it because it was not in a beautiful state, and for Pride Month, it should be beautiful. So we put up a beautiful sign that says Pride flag is on the move, and we will be relocating that Pride flag to a more prominent location in downtown that we can more easily maintain and keep looking beautiful. We hope to have that installed by our July 25th Pride event. So look out for news on where that is coming. Thank you to our Equity Steering Committee, Milwaukie High School, and others, including Nicole, who have helped weigh in on the right location for that flag that will be more prominent and easier to take care of.
Thank you so much for all of the work that everybody's done on making sure that that happens. And I really hope that it is able to be done by our Pride celebration, and really look forward to seeing it in its new location.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. All right. And next up, we have our Juneteenth proclamation presented by Corey Hester, who's organizing the event this year. I saw Corey and his brother at the event last year. Hope your brother's helping out. Maybe. Yeah.
Council members, thank you for having me here.
Oh, hit the red button. Yeah. Yeah.
How's that?
That's good.
Thank you for having me here tonight to take the opportunity to talk about Juneteenth, the event. So, Corey Hester, I've been part of the Equity Steering Committee since we started it back in, I think, 2021. And as of last year, the committee has taken over the task of doing all the planning and then running it. Last year, it was at
Paul Michelle.
And so this year is going to be at Scott Park on June 20th from 11 until 2 p.m. The intent is, the hopes is to have a better foot traffic coming in. Last year was a great event, obviously, right? But we figure we bring it back downtown to try to get more people that are just, walking about, seeing it, and coming in and joining in on the fun. So this event is about, celebrating the liberation of Black Americans, the actual liberation, right? And every single year I've been part of the planning committee and actually being at the event, it's been such a great turnout. And so I do expect it to be another great turnout as well. We're gonna have music, multiple vendors, BIPOC vendors. We have a BIPOC food vendor, some soul food that's gonna be delicious, face painting. It's gonna be a good time. And just like the Pride event, it's really about, it's just another opportunity for connection, for fellowship, celebrating a very important day, and just another opportunity for the city and the community to connect as one. And so, I've been to multiple NDAs and talking to people all throughout town, trying to, hype the event up. And so I'm confident it's gonna be a great turnout. I look forward to seeing all you guys there. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, it's the 20th from 11 to 2, is that what you said?
11 to 2.
11
yeah.
to 2, okay. And do you want to read the proclamation, or do you want me to do it?
I could do it.
Okay, please.
And I'll also do it at the event too.
Oh.
So whereas President Abraham Lincoln first issued the Emancipation Proclamation effective January 1st, 1863, declaring enslaved people in the Confederate States to be legally free. However, that proclamation could not be enforced in lands under Confederate control. On April 9th, 1865, Confederate forces surrendered, effectively ending the Civil War. On June 19th, 1865, Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, the westernmost state of the Confederacy, bringing news of the president's order freeing enslaved people 2.5 years after it was first decreed. This day, marking the end of chattel slavery in the United States, has since come to be known as Juneteenth. And whereas Oregon's constitutional ban on both slavery as well as residence by free African Americans laid the foundation for generations of economic hardship, exclusion, and discrimination against Oregon's Black African community. And whereas through other systems of oppression, such as sharecropping, Jim Crow, exclusionary and destructive housing and transportation policies, denial and disruption of voting access, and mass incarceration, and the plunder of Black bodies and Black wealth continued past slavery and persists to this day, affecting the physical and mental health, safety, education of and opportunities available to Black African Americans. And whereas despite these obstacles, Black African Americans in Oregon have been and continue to be dynamic and vital community members and leaders within our state. And whereas Juneteenth has been celebrated in Oregon since 1945, when Claire's people moved to Portland from Oklahoma to work at the Kaiser shipyards and introduced it to her coworkers. And whereas the city of Milwaukie, the state of Oregon, and the federal government now recognize Juneteenth as a legal holiday.
Now, therefore, I, Lisa Beatty, the mayor of the city of Milwaukie, a municipal corporation in the county of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, do hereby recognize and proclaim Juneteenth, June 19th, as an annual celebration of the past, present, and future of Black African American liberation and those who continue to work to realize that liberation. Thank you, Corey, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. And again, I'll see you guys on June 20th.
Okay. Okay. So, move on to community comments. I will say I have 3 yellow cards. If anybody else was wanting to talk, please submit a yellow card. This is the part of the agenda during which council will hear community comments on city business that is not already on the agenda. Before we begin, is there any follow-up to the May 5th comments, Ms. Sager?
There is not, Mayor.
Okay. For those in person who wish to speak, please submit a yellow comment card found on the table over there. If you are on Zoom, use the raise hand reaction to alert staff that you wish to speak. And when instructed to do so, click the microphone button to unmute yourself. If you are telephoning in through Zoom and would like to make a comment, dial *9 to raise your hand. You may also submit a written comment via email to ocr@milwaukeeoregon.gov. Before you make your comments, please state your name and city of residence for the record. If you would like the city to follow up with you, please submit your contact information to ocr@milwaukeeoregon.gov. As council has other business items on the agenda this evening, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Because information provided during community comments may be new, this is not the time for discussion. The city manager will respond at the next meeting to comments that require follow-up. So I am going to begin with Heidi Shafford. Sure. You each get 3 minutes. You can share the 6 minutes however you like. Okay. Hey, do your, okay.
That's it.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you for all of your hard work and public service, also to staff. I come before you today not as a local business owner, but as a father. Every single summer, a frightening scene repeats itself. Drunk and dangerous boating behavior at Milwaukie Bay Park's boat launch ramp. It's commonplace to see kids swimming near boat propellers, and it's commonplace to see reckless boating and even fistfights. This is a well-established fact pattern that local and state officials can confirm. Meanwhile, policing this behavior is ineffective and pales in comparison to fixing the root cause. I implore you as a city council to no longer ignore this growing public safety problem. Boat propellers are unforgiving, and no one wants to see a serious injury or death, especially a child, God forbid. Like it or not, the public is increasingly utilizing the existing motorized boat launch dock and the river shoreline at Milwaukie Bay Park to cool down on hot summer days. It's inaccurate to assume that most Milwaukie residents have the privilege to afford a working central air conditioning system. Many rely on the river to cool down, and summertime's extreme heat waves are only intensifying the risk of heat stroke and hospitalization. Please do not ignore this call to act. Folks who call Milwaukie home are the constituents to whom you've pledged an oath of office to serve faithfully and impartially. Thanks to the Metro Regional Government's grant program, Nature in Neighborhoods, the voice of the people is loud and clear. Swimming access at Milwaukie Bay Park is a priority for our community. And while the current grant proposal for a new sidewalk down to the water is exciting, I implore you to consider thinking smart and shrewd. We believe that within reach to realize in the near term is an incredible and exciting vision. Imagine, this city council could display leadership for our community with a bold decision to establish a new amenity at the park for generations to come. A new dock that would separate people from propellers. The installation of a new year-round, non-motorized dock. This would serve kayakers and paddleboarders, and finally establish a safe and accessible swimming area, protecting people from boat props. Again, we should not wait until there's blood in the water during a horrific boating accident that's bound to happen sooner or later. The Metro Grant Program is a half measure. If we truly want to ensure people of all ages and ability levels feel welcome and safe to use our public parks and water, we're called to think holistically and with intention to find the best solution for the long haul. A scarcity mindset and timidity will not serve our community or meet the expectations of voters. Our coalition stands ready, able, and willing to create innovative public-private philanthropic partnerships to ensure objections are heard, analyzed, and solved together. According to the Swimmable Cities Alliance, efforts like this promote physical and mental well-being, climate resilience, and ecological stewardship. They also help reclaim urban rivers as shared civic spaces, fostering a deeper connection between people and nature. People protect what they love, a simple truth promoted by the Human Access Project, who is leading the way with their regional mission along the Willamette River. They have a proven track record of municipal success stories, and their goal to transform our relationship with the Willamette River from a neglected water body to a beloved public space and natural treasure. What a transformative project worthy of unanimous support. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. And you still have 2 minutes, so if Heidi would like to say something more, please.
Thank you, Mayor Beatty and council. My name is Heidi Shafford, and I'm here on behalf of open water swimmers and non-motorized users and lovers of the resource that the city of Milwaukie and our region has outside of our windows here. And I am here to share my support, as Michael has alluded to the establishment of a safe and dedicated access point for people who are swimming or using non-motorized craft to explore the river, to be in the water, as well as use that resource that's both for recreation and exploration and education. And there is a vote coming with Metro, and there's a lovely project that's been proposed, and I fully support that. Like Michael said, I think the addition of a dedicated dock would help separate the people who are using the space now, and there are conflicts between motorized craft users and those of us who are less visible, much more vulnerable, larger range in ages that are using the river. And I just want to urge you to consider and support that dedicated access and a dock that would allow people to have some safety and some predictable year-round access to the river. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I also have Bob Harrison. Hi, hit the button so that the red light, hit the button.
Hear me now?
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Okay, so when does my time start?
Right now.
Okay, so there's a number of different things that I could discuss, but the bottom line is this. First of all, Milwaukie is the dogwood city, and so across the street from me, I live at Olson, 3511 Southeast Olson Street. Across the street from me at 3506, there was a lady that I knew. She lived in that house for over 60 years. She was a native Milwaukeean. Her husband and her son planted a dogwood tree there, which has grown for 50 years. It's beautiful flowering dogwood. It was torn down, demolished, just a big pile of stumps now. And on that property, the developer, Shaw Development, is putting in 9 units along with the house. The canopy, as I understand it, trying to read that tree survey, excluding the house, was around 40% canopy. So Shaw came in and ripped out probably 6 mature trees, not the least of which is beautiful, beautiful dogwood that brought so much joy. It's a pile of rubble now, and so there's 1 tree left. I think that covers about 4% of the property. So I'm complaining to you and appealing to you to try to address evidently this law that was passed at the state level for cottage clusters. And as a result of that, this guy could come in, this developer, and I can't really blame him. He just followed the law in part. He's going to put these units in there, and he's changing his neighborhood, which he's done in other places too, increasing traffic, and it's just an abomination. Again, when I think about that tree, I mean, it would deeply bothered me. So, I guess that's, I mean, you know, I had a question. The tree man, whatever the title of the person was, who has since quit, I understand, came up with a survey which allowed this doghood, I keep going back to that, to be taken out, because supposedly it was going to be in the footprint of a parking spot on the right side of the property that was going to have a thatched driveway. And this guy had said, well, you know, this driveway is going to impinge possibly on the root structure of this beautiful dogwood. So it's better for us to take it out now because it might not like the fact that we are impinging on its root system. So, you know, the logic is, well, we're going to kill it now because it might die from the this parking spot. So, you know, the law that was passed at the state legislature is completely onerous, does not take into consideration neighborhoods and the quality of life. Not only that, Ardenwald is butting up against Johnson Creek. It's the main egress going from east to west and back and forth. All that traffic is funneled in there into that. And so when you increase density, you're increasing parking problems, okay? Now we've got Hillside Manor. It's gonna be 500 units. You know, our neighborhood is being flipped upside down. It happens to be an older established neighborhood. A lot of older retired people, as I mentioned, Ann had lived in that property for 60 years, you know. So that neighborhood, because it had big lots, is getting impacted in a way that other neighborhoods, certainly not your fancy neighborhoods, your newer neighborhoods are gonna be
I've got the unhappy task of having to cut you off, but feel free to reach out to any of us and happy to talk about it more.
Pardon?
I've got the unhappy task of cutting you off, but
Yeah,
feel free to
you're-
send us an email and we're happy to talk about any of this more.
You're past your 3 minutes. You're a minute, probably
Let's
past
go
your
for
3
that.
minutes. Pardon? So,
Okay, so I vented, I'm sharing with you.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I had the ability to put pictures on that screen showing you. I mean, I can take my phone around and show it to you. You know, beautiful tree, pile of roots. You know, that's not, I mean, all over here, we see symbols of dogwoods.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand that. I don't understand the logic.
well, I would invite you to send us pictures via email if you like. And like I said in the intro, we don't engage on comments here. Ms. Sager will respond at the next meeting, but she can also have some staff follow up with you.
So how do I, so who do I talk to about the technology to get that picture to you guys?
Either Ms. Sager or Mr.
Okay.
Stauffer can help you with that.
Yep, and do we have your contact details on the yellow form? Yep, so we'll reach out tomorrow and find the best way to get that information
You will
over
reach
from
out to me?
Mhm.
Do you have my email address?
Yep.
If it's on that yellow
here.
form.
It's on here.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yes.
Yep.
Keep up the good work. Keep
Okay.
those trees alive.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have any other yellow cards. Just scanning the room. Nobody seems to be jumping out of their seats. Do we have anybody online, Mr. Stauffer?
We do have a Zoom audience and no one's hands are raised.
No one's hands are raised. Okay. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes minutes of the City Council April 7th, 2026 work session, April 7th, 2026 regular session, April 14th, 2026 study session, April 21st, 2026 work session, and April 21st, 2026 regular session, May 5th, 2026 work session, and May 5th, 2026 regular session. The
We got caught up.
recorder's office got caught up. A resolution making the following appointments to city boards and committees. Jennifer Allen, Benjamin Dewey, Victoria Mendez, Hamid Shabata Bennett, Dominic Cardozo, Eve Atkinson, and Adair Roadside to the Arts Committee. Mona Henry and Angela Owens to the Audit Committee. Fenet Jima Bedasso, Roberto Moreno, Anissa Korzeniowski, Corey Hester, and Shayna Justice to the Equity Steering Committee. Joe Kuzanak, Farah Tran, Heather Buchanan, and Gray Buo to the Library Board. David Sheetsazan, Neil Hankerson, Jason Von Abrams, and Sang Pao to the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission Community Advisory Committee. Laura Jenks to the Parks and Recreation Board. Lisa Graytrick and Kimberly Travis to the Planning Commission. Camden McCone, Jack Hudson, and Allie Ball to the Public Safety Advisory Committee. Josue Mendoza, John Brown, Camden McCone, and Mona Thomason to the Tree Board. A resolution acting as the local contract review board authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Lake Oswego for emergency communications services. And a resolution authorizing application to the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department local government grant for Milwaukie Bay Park Phase 3 construction. Does any council member wish to remove a consent agenda item?
Mayor, we just realized a procedural thing.
Huh?
You can't appoint the MRCAC member until you are convened as the MRC.
Oh, okay.
So, Scott, what do we need them to do? Just need to change, just need to reread that without the MRC?
We have to, the council should wait till its meeting as the commission later this evening.
Okay,
And I think a motion later this evening should be sufficient.
but for this current motion, that
Just strike that.
just strike
We'll
that.
just say minus the MRC CAC folks.
Okay.
Apologies about that.
So, Mayor, I'll move to approve the consent agenda as revised, which is striking the reference to members appointed to the MRCAC.
All right. Is there a second?
I second as revised.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as revised minus the appointments to the MRCAC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None heard. It passes unanimously. Okay, next item, residential privacy protections. So nobody submitted a yellow card on this, but I wanted to sort of lay some groundwork, and then I'm going to invite the police chief and the city attorney to chime in. Last August, a resident of the Linwood neighborhood named Ms. Timmerman wrote to us. She wrote to me individually, but it's my understanding she wrote to each counselor individually about concerns with a neighbor who had installed a video camera kind of on his roof pointed into her backyard. It was disturbing. I wouldn't have liked it either if it had been me. Sorry, I had some notes on this. Yeah, so at the time I checked with the police department about, what our potential was for regulating that and learned that there's not a lot that we can do under state law. I did some digging. Other people have done some digging, trying to find some ordinances in the state. Didn't have a lot of success. I do believe the police met with her and her neighbor and tried to mediate the situation to some degree. And it was quiet for a while. I asked Ms. Timmerman for some more examples. And it was quiet for a while, didn't hear back until March of this year. And she sent us a letter with some additional examples of things in other states or other locales, some in Oregon, some in other states. I felt like I'm still not sure that there's a ton we can do, but I felt like it warranted a conversation on the dais. And so I asked the city manager to put it on our agenda. And actually, the city manager was out on leave at the time. I asked the acting city manager to put it on the agenda. And so here we are today. I wanted, just to have a discussion of options, a discussion of what the impediments are. I will say, it's interesting to think about, when we think about enacting policy, there's always sort of four questions. When we think about enacting policy, by way of ordinance, there's always sort of four questions I ask myself. Is it enforceable? What's the burden on the city to enforce it? Is it creating unreasonable expectations? And what will be the unintended consequences? And I do think here there are a lot of potential unintended consequences. I remember I do think, the world is changing somewhat in our world in particular because of our middle housing. I remember in 2017 or so when we were revising policies to make it easier to build accessory dwelling units, we had a lot of conversation around putting that little house in the backyard that could be 2 stories high meant the privacy of neighboring backyards was going to be diminished. And we tried to develop requirements for screening, either with plants or with fencing and things like that. And so back in that day, there was a lot of community conversation around that issue of privacy in the backyards. Now with the middle housing laws, which we just heard about from Mr. Harrison, we're seeing 2-story cottages pop up lots of places that will have views into backyards. So it makes the question of sort of reasonable expectation of privacy look a little different than it did a decade ago. I guess I will kind of stop there and let the Captain Cheragino and our city attorney talk about some of the concerns they have or some of the impediments they see to, us doing any kind of an ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. That was a good description to kick off a discussion. And my goal here in just a few minutes is to just outline kind of the playing field. So privacy protections are generally found at the intersection of constitutional law, statutory law, and common law. Now, when I say the term common law, that means when a judge or a jury has rendered a verdict that might change or direct us in a certain way based on certain facts, right? And then if you have a case that has those same facts, that might apply to you. If you have different facts, you might have to figure out and go in front of a judge or a jury to figure out what your rights are. But most of these privacy protections grow out of constitutional law. And certainly the city has home rule authority, but in our case, or in the case of cities in Oregon and elsewhere, to be honest with you, we can't adopt standards that differ from state standards and create a different standard within our jurisdiction that wouldn't, in this particular area, that would conflict with what the state has defined as a reasonable expectation of privacy. So I think the statute's been thrown around in some of the materials. That statute is essentially a codification of a reasonable expectation of privacy that can be traced all the way back to Oregon Supreme Court decisions. So it's grown out of that. And when you look at that statutory definition, essentially, when anybody violates that statute, it's 100% of the time a crime. Your reasonable expectation for privacy in a bathroom, in your own home, in your dressing room, in the dressing room at a store where you're trying on clothes. Anytime somebody without your consent is photographing your image, it's 100% of the time it will be interpreted as a crime. There's also a statute in Oregon that creates a civil right of action if those same facts are met. So an individual can sue for civil damages against somebody who takes that image, right? But it's all based on the same standard. So we have this definition about where somebody has a reasonable expectation of privacy. And I know it's also been talked that creates a gap, and can the city fill that gap? Well, that gap is filled by the common law. And the common law is created in states all across the country through rights or causes of action, or torts, we call them. And there is a specific invasion of privacy set of torts. There's 4 different torts. One is an intrusion upon seclusion. Sounds kind of applicable to a situation like this. And when you seek a remedy in court, you are obligated to win the case, you're obligated to prove that the intrusion upon your seclusion is so horrific that a reasonable person would be highly offended by that behavior. Now, I'm not here to tell you that the case that was brought to you will meet that standard. That's something for some attorneys that represent the homeowner to evaluate. But that fills the gap between things that we know that have grown out of constitutional law. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And then the gap filling, which is highly factual dependent. Mayor, you mentioned something about unintended consequences. It would be very hard for the city to create a framework that would capture every single factual scenario to decide whether something was a reasonable expectation of privacy. And so that's the purpose that the court fills, and that's how that gap gets filled. So that's a pragmatic concern, of course, is whether it's enforceable in a particular situation or a specific set of facts. And you point out some interesting ones vis-a-vis our middle housing code. We're getting into a denser environment. And what a reasonable person within our community would deem an invasion of their privacy might be different from somebody who's out in the country, right, with more space. Generally speaking, I think both under federal and state law, you have a right to look, if you're on your property and you look out your window or you look out your door and you see something, somebody's side yard or backyard, you generally, that's okay. In situations where it gets egregious, which seems to be the facts here, maybe seeking some redress through the courts is the proper avenue. But it creates a lot of situations that a lot of different factual patterns will be difficult to reconcile. And Captain Cherangino has some more comments he'd like to make just on the pragmatic nature of this type of protection and some of the constitutional stuff that gets implicated.
Yeah, Mayor Beatty and City Council, thanks for having me here tonight to talk about this. Yeah, I do. This is a difficult one, and I have sympathy for those involved, especially for the family. It's difficult when you're on your own property and you feel like someone's spying on you and you feel like you can't live peacefully and do the things you want to do without worrying about what the neighbors are potentially going to do if they are recording. But that's what it comes down to. I mean, we don't really know, is the camera on? There's so many questions that we would have from an enforcement perspective that make it difficult. Not only the potential First Amendment issues, but also Fourth Amendment. I am not an attorney. I don't use some of the same words that Mr. Garricky will use. However,
Fourth Amendment is your right to unlawful searches and seizures. So in order to get a hold of the camera or the computer that's recording it, you have to get a warrant in court, which Captain Cherangino will elaborate on.
Yeah, and so, not being an attorney, I do have 30 years of interpreting law, civil law, criminal law, and case law, or also known as common law, through suppression hearings and dealing with these type of circumstances on a regular basis in our daily jobs. And I find it just really difficult to, there are laws in the books right now, as Justin mentioned, about harassment, stalking, voyeurism, and unlawful surveillance that currently exist under our revised statutes that we can criminally go after someone. But to go enforce a violation or a city policy, we have to have certain standards, and one of those would be probable cause. And I don't know how we would enforce that, not knowing the intentions behind the camera, if it's recording, what direction it's facing with modern technology and these fisheye cameras. Are they capturing the backyard for their own protection and their own surveillance and inadvertently filming the neighbor's backyard? Because there's Oregon law that says that that's okay. That as long as it's inadvertent, and you're not doing it on purpose, that's not a violation of law. And now, if we're going out and we're enforcing that, we're impeding on someone's either First or Fourth Amendment issues, depending on how we got there. So with that being said, and not taking up too much time, as a police department, we deal with a lot of civil issues, and a lot of these circumstances with filming and neighbor disputes start just as that. And I'm not referring to the current one that you mentioned, Mayor, but a lot of neighbor disputes start with that, a dispute. And on something like a situation like this that we would respond to, as we did on this one, we try and get both stories, and our job is to keep the peace, because also we're not allowed to interfere in civil issues other than keeping the peace. As a law enforcement officer, we're not able to give legal advice. And a good example would be if we're talking about boundaries or property lines. It's pretty common that we will respond to one neighbor maybe removing a fence or using an excavator to dig into the neighbor's yard. And it could cause significant monetary value and damage. And even though that one neighbor may think that's a crime, we can't usually determine where the property line is. So we'll document as a law enforcement agency, but there's no enforcement action. That's where the civil courts come in. And that's where the option of they're able to go to the Clackamas County Circuit Court, whether they get an attorney or not, and they can deal with that in small claims court and hash it out through the courts. It's just, hopefully I'm not talking in circles here, but it's extremely difficult, and I have no idea how we would even monitor it. About 50% of the cameras that we deal with when we go out trying to get evidence generally aren't working. And we don't even know if they're working or not. So that's just the first significant hurdle we'd be trying to accomplish in enforcing a policy like this.
Tony, also just before we turn it back over to council discussion, in this particular case, I want council to be aware that when this first did come to the police department's attention, we don't just say, oh, we don't have jurisdiction over that, like, good luck. I mean, I think we had Sergeant Inman out talking to the homeowner, talking to the neighbor, trying to facilitate a productive. So I know my very smart colleagues have talked to you about the legal landscape. I think from the just true customer service landscape, I wanted you to be aware of that context too, that even where we don't have perfect code or perfect tools at our disposal to be the arbiters of, an outcome, we can assist in the ways that we can. And in this case, I do believe we did try to provide that information and assist in the way that we could.
And I guess I'd just like to conclude, all of us who've been chatting about this in the hallways and have spoken to some members of council about it, have a great deal of empathy for the situation. Absolutely. And I kind of have to weigh that with the idea that there are multiple areas where there's a private dispute, and Captain Cherangino pointed out one hypothetical, but there are multiple areas that we don't necessarily get involved. We might get involved as a peacekeeper to try to mediate the situation. But when a situation erupts, I can think of several different instances where two landowners have a dispute over a property line, a fence, whether or not the CC&Rs preclude their neighbor from doing something. I mean, now that's a private contractual right, but it's still something we get called to intervene on. And sometimes we try to broker a peace, but we just technically can't get involved in the dispute. That's for the two private parties to figure out.
Okay.
And one last thing that I will comment off of what Emma said is that not only do we provide kind of some verbal keeping of the peace, but we also provide some information, direction they can go, whether at Clackamas County Civil Division, Clackamas County Courthouse, maybe you need to consider getting an attorney. And we try to exhaust all means possible without actually directing the situation and tell them what they can and can't do specifically. So Emma was right, and we do spend a lot of time, and a lot of times some of these civil issues we spend some of the most time on trying to keep the peace so it doesn't explode into something bigger. But unfortunately, our hands are tied because we do have rights, and those rights become expensive if we violate them. So that's all.
So the council president has an item in the packet, and I think others of you may have comments you want to make, but I guess first, do we have any questions for Captain Cherangino or for Justin? Okay. Not seeing any, oh,
I
yep.
just have a quick question. Did you have the opportunity to go speak to the neighbor?
I didn't personally, but we did have law enforcement, Sergeant Inman, and I don't know who else did. They did speak with the neighbor. And it doesn't sound like we had a compromise, as far as like where they were going to say they were going to change the direction of the cameras or whatnot. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Uh-oh. All right, should we take a break? We'll let Captain Chirino step down and we'll take a 5-minute break. I think we're ready to get started again. Counselor Kosher Body. We've lost Counselor Savage-Ord too. Oh, okay. All right, so actually, while we're waiting, given that this is wrong, I shouldn't sign this?
I believe so.
Okay.
The mayor should not sign.
Appointments. We have an MRC meeting. Oh, but we did an agenda. Okay. Do I sign this thing that includes it? Okay. All right, everybody's back, so you can go ahead and put us back on the record. Expected excitement. So turning back to the matter at hand, which is the discussion of residential privacy protections, I wanted to open up to council.
Counselor Savage-Ord had a question.
Well, she asked a question. Did you have follow-up that you wanted to go ahead with?
No,
Okay.
I got the answer.
Okay.
Amidst the chaos.
I'll admit,
Amidst
I
the
wasn't
chaos.
paying attention to this.
I've got one question.
I'm a mom, I can
Okay.
multitask.
So, so if we had, in some sort of perfect world, where we felt like there was reasonable cause for a search. And I know that I'm sort of laying out this la-la land situation, but if we felt like there was reasonable cause for a search, then who would enforce that search? Would it be our police department? Because it's a state law, so it's a city ordinance.
So if it was a city ordinance, it would either be code enforcement or the police department. If it comes up to probable cause like you talk about, it would be us, the police department.
Okay.
We would be the ones investigating that.
Yeah, I kind of thought about code enforcement, because I'm not sure that, but we would be able to enforce that state code.
Yes. Yep, and we do quite often, I wouldn't say quite often, but with harassment, voyeurism, I mean, we did have some voyeurism cases this year where people were recording by putting a recording device in a book and putting it in bathrooms. That's a little extreme, more than just a neighbor one. Something like that's a little more easier to prove, obviously, because there is a reasonable expectation of privacy in a changing room.
Right.
But yeah, we would be the ones investigating it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Council President?
Happy to, if we're ready to move from questions.
Oh.
Just to frame a little bit about the ordinance that I added to the packet, part of the reason that Ms. Timmerman reached out was she was seeing what the city could do to be able to help her case here. And I think we've talked a little bit about how her case is one example of two neighbors with a dispute. This is a trend that I think we're going to see more and more as we have more housing, as surveillance becomes more prevalent. And so I think while this is one case, this is an opportunity to get ahead of a growing trend. And Ms. Timmerman reached out trying to see, is there a Eugene ordinance that we might be able to model? What would that look like? Is there something around a reasonable expectation of privacy that we could enshrine here in our city ordinances? We heard from our city attorney that that path is fraught with all sorts of other challenges and questions that we might have to navigate and doesn't seem like the best path forward. Thinking about this a little more as an alternative for us to discuss, I put together a ordinance that would require a permit for a security camera that is primarily facing neighbors' backyard space. In a scenario like this, I could imagine that creates an opportunity for our code enforcement or police officers to check in with that neighbor. It gives them a second tool in that conversation to say, have you pulled a permit for this? Do you have a permit already? It creates some type of barrier or check to someone just heedlessly putting up cameras to survey their neighbors and create some type of opportunity for the city to be more meaningfully involved in the conversation, which I think we're finding in this example, the city doesn't really have a ground to be a part of this conversation. And to me, that is really troubling. You look at the photos that Ms. Timmerman provided, I mean, this camera is pointing directly into her backyard. And the fact that we can offer no recourse or that we can't meaningfully participate in this dispute between neighbors, I find really troubling. And so what I put together is a provision that would allow us to require a permit on a certain use of security cameras. It doesn't address a reasonable expectation of privacy. It doesn't attempt to do that. It is more regulating behavior and placement of certain security devices within our city, which I believe would fall under our home rule authority. There are certainly implementation questions and questions about how we would go forward here. I put together this ordinance not as a final product, but as the start of a discussion that we could bring forward in a work session and continue to tinker with a little bit more. But I think that this is a cause or a direction that it's worthwhile for us to consider more as a city, because I do see this becoming more prevalent. And I think that this might be our best approach to be able to handle this problem.
Can I ask, did you find any, I mean, and I know you are well connected with lawyers at the state level. Did you find any examples of anything like this?
I don't know of other cities that have permitting rules around their security systems. I'd imagine, I mean, cities require permits and building codes require certain standards on so many different things. I could imagine that there's some parallel, but I say that without knowing of an exact parallels that we could point to.
Okay, I just looking at the criminal statutes that were cited to us. Definitely, I did not see one. I looked through all the ones that were in her letter. I did not see any that talked about backyards. Almost all of them are really focused on indoor locations. There are a few that have sort of, the language of where you have a reasonable expectation of privacy and don't specify indoor or outdoor, but the vast majority of them were indoor kind of locations. So I just was curious if you'd found anything else. I don't know who was up first. Councilor Khosrowshahi.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions because I did see that ordinance. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not given that reasonable expectation of privacy in your backyard, right? Like that's not, in Oregon, that's not considered a reasonable.
Generally speaking, no. It is not, you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your backyard. Could there be a factual scenario where you pursue a claim against your neighbor for the tort of intrusion upon seclusion? Absolutely.
Right.
Whether that's successful or not, it completely depends on the facts. But as a general matter.
Because sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as a general matter, you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your backyard.
And I feel for Ms. Timmerman, obviously, because that's got to be a uncomfortable situation to be in. I mean, I was out my house between the hours of 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. I don't sleep very well. And I was out there and there was a drone above my house. And that drone was just hovering above my house and I can see it. So I took a really bright flashlight and I flashed it up at the drone and then I gave the drone the finger. It never came back, but I don't know, like, because if you do something for that, the next thing is going to be a problem is that. And then what are you going to say? No fly zones over, people's homes. The issue I have is that, again, it goes back to the enforcement. How are you going to enforce the permit? Because you can, are you going to have your neighbor, are you expecting the neighbors to basically, anytime somebody has a security system in their yard that they see, they're going to have to call the city to say, hey, does this person have a permit? How are you going to enforce that? Because you can just put up a system. Like you don't have to, like I can go to Best Buy and buy a camera system and put it up outside. How would the city, what tools could we use to enforce that? And again, how do you avoid still, once they do have the permit, because that's not a criminal offense if you don't have a permit for a camera system. So again, how do you still, I don't know if that really solves the actual issue of the neighbor peeping in the yard. Because what if you don't have a security camera and you just have a regular camera and every so often you just hold it up and you are filming somebody's yard? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's ways around that. And I just don't want to put something out there just to say we put something out there. How would you enforce that?
Happy to speak to that. One, I want to say this doesn't intend to, you mentioned, do you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your backyard? I don't think this code, the ordinance that I'm putting forward, tries to touch that in any ways. How this code would be enforced, I imagine it being something that a neighbor could bring forward. You could reach out to the city and say, in Mr. Merman's case, there's a camera pointing at my backyard. Is there something the city can do about that? The city can say, we require that cameras that are pointing in the backyard get a permit. We do not have a permit on file for that address. We can send code compliance to go talk to them, and it can start that conversation. And a conversation that Captain Cheragino had on the door, or one of your officers had on the door, would look a little different than it would with this ordinance in place. You'd be able to go and say, we have a Milwaukie ordinance that requires a permit to have a camera that's pointing primarily at someone's backyard. Do you have a camera that's pointing primarily at someone's backyard? If you do, you need to go pull a permit for it. If you don't, then I think you can look at, are there other ways to, do you want to go take a warrant to prove that necessarily? Is there some other way that you want to prove that the camera actually is primarily pointed at someone's yard? There are other enforcement areas beyond that, but I think that conversation and the ability to say, we have a regulation, a permit requirement for cameras that are facing someone's yard, in itself will act as a deterrent from people choosing that behavior.
But if you get the permit, if the problem is the permit, then the problem isn't where the camera's facing. The problem becomes the permit. So you're not actually solving where the camera, because let's say I have camera system and I have the permit and it's still pointing in her backyard. Then what do you do? There's nothing you can do.
I think that this doesn't make that activity illegal, but I do think putting a cost to putting up a camera system that points primarily at someone else's yard would be a deterrent from that behavior. I don't think it's something that, I do not think people primarily, and this might be an exception, intend or would want to put a camera in someone's backyard. Right. And having some type of cost component and having a justification for the city to say this is behavior that we require a permit for, I think will act as a deterrent for this prevailing more in the future.
But because it happens so minimally that we know of, you're willing to accrue a new cost on people in the city? The unintended consequences of adding an additional cost for everybody because of a very limited situation. You know what I mean? That's increasing the cost to live here now.
I don't think it would necessarily be increasing the cost to live here. We had we had officers go and talk to Mr. Merman's neighbor already. This changes the nature of that conversation. It doesn't change the fact that our officers are participating in these interactions. It doesn't change the fact our officers have been mediating these conversations before. It just changes the nature of the conversation that you're having. So I don't see this as, aside from writing and passing the code, I don't see this as being an added time suck to our city to enforce it.
No, it's just, but it's an added cost for everybody else who's just trying to protect their personal property. And their
I should say primarily pointing at someone's property. I think of that as over 50%, and that's something we can specify. I don't think I think that is behavior that I think we should try and discourage as a city. I don't want neighbors primarily using surveillance systems to survey their neighbor's property.
Yeah, I agree, but I want something that's gonna actually do something, not something that's just basically saying, hey, now you just gotta pay for it, because that's not really gonna stop anything. For example, my neighbor across the street has cameras facing right at my house. I know they're not trying to watch my house though, they're trying to watch their front yard. But during the daytime, if my curtains are open, they probably can record inside my house, but that's not the intent. But I would hate to make them have to go pay for a permit.
The way I structured it is it's just backyards, and it's just primarily pointing at someone's backyard space.
But what if it's one of the cameras that's like the owl cameras or a 360 camera? There's so many variables. I just don't know if a permit really gets to what Ms. Timmerman is looking for.
I think you heard from Justin, it's challenging to do an outright ban or some criminal prohibition on this activity. But I think having a cost deterrent to make it more challenging for people to use surveillance systems to survey their neighbors is a deterrent that will hopefully make it so this is less pervasive, and it empowers our city staff, whether that's code enforcement or police, to have more meaningful conversations with neighbors when they're in this scenario.
It would have to be a pretty big fee to be a deterrent.
Yeah. Yeah, I
A
agree.
$25 permit, $100 permit is not a deterrent.
Can
Sorry,
we
go
go
ahead.
on? Yeah,
Sorry.
Counselor Massey?
Officer Sharon, let me, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the police department require, at least registration of, home security systems that alert to the police station?
Yes, we do have a contract for our alarm system, and I'm actually in charge of that. So it does accrue additional resources for me to not only do the contract work with that, but to monitor along with City Hall. And then who's going to keep track of all this? And again, it's not a major deal, but it would accrue additional work from the police department and from City Hall to put something together to monitor it, to stay up on top of it, and to make sure everyone's up to.
But the resident doesn't pay a fee to register it, do they?
For false, no, there is a permit fee.
Yeah.
There's a permit fee.
That is a permit fee?
And then there's a false alarm fee. They get a couple free,
and
but
that's
yes.
primarily what you're getting at, is so that people are, judiciously using their security systems. You're not getting all these false alarms continually. I
Correct.
think that's the purpose. But is there a parallel between a system like that and the system that Councilor Anderson has proposed? Is there a parallel? And I guess I'll point to Justin on that one.
I think they're wildly different.
I think there is a difference.
I think they're wildly different. My only comment is that any sort of permit scheme designed to regulate this particular behavior has some significant constitutional hurdles to get over and pragmatic hurdles. You can't selectively choose who gets a permit. Everybody who has a security system potentially has to come in and make a showing that their security camera does not capture their neighbor's backyard. I myself have a security camera on the side of my house, and it catches a substantial part of my neighbor's side and backyard, and her backyard's fenced. You can't tell from standing in the right of way or beside my house where my camera points. It's just the nature of the technology. I think there's some significant challenges to trying to regulate the behavior through a permit system, just because it's so pervasive. I think the more judicious route is to send people towards getting common law relief over something, which is if you have a situation that's egregious, you speak to an attorney and find out what your rights are, vis-a-vis the criminal statutes, harassment, voyeurism, what's the other
Stalking.
one? Yeah, stalking. There's a variety of avenues here. And one of the last things I said before we came in for this meeting is that if Ms. Timmerman or anybody else who's facing a situation like this sees a change in circumstances, police will be there at the drop of a hat to reassess the situation and see where we're at. Certainly, we could debate forever about the workability of a permit program, and staff could spin our wheels. I don't know that we're going to be able to resolve some of these issues to the satisfaction of actually setting up a framework that actually works.
And just to build on what Justin said, and kind of an operational question for you, Council President, because I think what I'm a little confused by is, are you suggesting we set up a system to permit cameras if they point into backyards, in which case we're almost endorsing the behavior by providing a permit? Say in this case, this person came in and said, I'd like to pay for my permit to put this camera up, to point in my neighbor's yard. We have to say yes to that, and then we're almost permitting the behavior for a cost. I heard Justin say something a little bit different, which is maybe they're getting a permit by proving they're not doing that. But either way, I think there's a practical challenge I see here when I think about how we would staff a program like that and how we would implement a program like that. And I worry that we may actually enable behavior that we all, I think, agree is not ideal, even though we don't have a way of enforcing it right now. I don't think any of us think this is a good situation.
Just to piggyback on that, if we say we figured we could and we rolled out a program, then we're going to put it in the pilot. Come sign up when you point a camera in your neighbor's backyard. It does seem like it's planting ideas with people, maybe.
I think two things to this. First, I did not specify in the ordinance what the conditions would be for getting the permit. And I think this is something that I would want to work out more if this is an avenue that we choose to pursue. I think one thing that we could look at is requiring as a condition of the permit, like signature release from your neighbor or some type of evidence of conversation with your neighbor, like putting meaningful guardrails on the way that these cameras are used. I'll give an example. I have a neighbor whose camera must look somewhat into my backyard because he left me a lovely voicemail saying, hey, I saw someone hop your fence and stood in your backyard for 5 minutes. I was very happy to have that camera pointing at my backyard there, but there's some social contract that exists between me and my neighbor that I don't think exists between Ms. Timmerman and her neighbor. And I think trying to have baked into the permit system some type of pathway that would provide for, or at least promote that type of social contract between neighbors would be beneficial. I think it's also, to your point, Mayor Beatty, is this something we widely advertise? I don't think it would. We don't advertise every single permit that you have to get in the city. I think of this really as a tool that our code enforcement or officers could use in a conversation with people who are experiencing a similar case as Ms. Timmerman. They can check in about this permit system. They can point them in this direction. If the permit has some barriers that make it difficult to procure that permit, it makes it difficult to have that type of behavior prevail in our city. I think the big question I have here is there are absolutely things we could work out in the system, and I put this forward not as a perfect solution, but one that I think we should need out and work a little bit more. Ms. Timmerman is asking the city to be responsive to the case that she has and see if we can protect her case. And I put this forward as I think this is the best direction we have to meaningfully try and address this. It is not by any means the perfect solution, but I don't think that perfect solution exists. But this is something that we can do to be responsive to what Ms. Timmerman is seeing, what other residents will likely see as well. We can choose not to do that. But then I wonder, I come back to the question, what can we do to help Ms. Timmerman and other people who are like this?
You know, you're at the state. You could advocate for the state to make a rule, because you're asking us to take on something that seems like it's a lot bigger than us.
I don't think requiring permits for a backyard camera is
No, but there's a lot of, I mean, think about that. You want to have your neighbor sign off. So my neighbor gets to determine whether I have a security system in my house?
No, I should say a security system that primarily points at his property, then I would.
But how are they going to, like, that's the thing. Like I said, with my neighbor across the street, it's on their front yard, but because of the scope of the camera, the type of camera it is, it gets more than just their driveway. So it just.
Well, and now there are those cameras that.
The 360
like
cameras.
They're 360 and they can be on the underside of the eaves of your house.
Yeah.
And they're probably not intentionally focused on the neighbor's backyard, but they may be capturing a big chunk of the neighbor's backyard, right?
Right.
I should clarify. Yeah. I only write this ordinance regulating backyard cameras, not front yard cameras, because I think it is hard to define that limited scope in a front yard versus a backyard. In the backyard, I don't think, if we were to adopt this ordinance, I do not expect that everyone who has a backyard camera that points at their neighbor's property would get a permit. I see this as a tool to help resolution when there's conflict between neighbors and that opportunity for conversation. If a neighbor wants to challenge whether their neighbor's security system primarily points at their property, they can challenge that. And if our code enforcement wants to get involved, we can pull a warrant or find some way forward to see if that is true or not. And if we choose to pursue that path, we can go down that path and have more of an enforcement role here for this permit system. Without these permits, we don't really have a way to get involved in these disputes in a meaningful way.
I thought the city manager wanted to say
Keep
something.
stealing my
He
goose.
keeps stealing your goose. Are we shortage of goose? That's because Councilor Stavengerd has two.
That's okay. The city attorney and I are good at sharing. I just wanted to ask Captain Cheragino, we obviously kind of, this item was put on the agenda when we heard about Ms. Timmerman's situation, but has this come up before with the PD?
Not specifically like this and this specific.
Okay.
And I just see some unintended consequences with it. And I Council President Anderson, I read your proposal and it's very well written and it's very soft around the First and Fourth Amendment. And I saw that you didn't want to encroach on that, which I thought you wrote that really well. I think as the mayor talked about, one of the four unintended consequences, I think this may discourage residents if we require a permit because maybe they don't want to deal with it. And so many people feel that safety blanket of having the security system on or we get a lot of evidence and solve a lot of crimes because of, and our last big murder that I worked was because of a neighbor's surveillance camera that caught the suspect vehicles driving away across the street. That's my opinion and just, like I said, I thought it was well written and I understand. I wish there was more that we can do. And this might be something that we can revisit. We could have some conversations at the police department. We might be able to revisit with additional resources that we have now, go out and talking to the neighbors again. And we can't force it on them, but we might be able to provide some additional resources to help the family out and do our best to work our magic with some verbal judo and see if we can come to a compromise.
Okay, so, I mean, we do have a budget to pass today, so we should probably wrap this one up. Where are we leaving this? I will say, one of the things that Captain Cheragino said that stuck with me is that, like, if you were taking a bulldozer at the fence and the property line, the city couldn't even enforce that, right? So that is a quintessential private dispute to be resolved in the courts. And that kind of has stuck with me. And I guess as much as I have sympathy for having a camera pointed in your backyard, like I said, I wouldn't like it either. It doesn't seem to me something that we can really resolve with an ordinance. Are there people who feel like we should have set aside for another day further discussion of the council president's ordinance? Or have any other suggested next moves?
Well, I mean, Tony gave us a possible way forward. And so I think that we ought to just take him on that and maybe just comes back and tell us what they've come up with.
You mean the further outreach to Ms. Timmerman?
That's what I heard. Is that true? Did I get it right?
Yeah, you did. And there's some information I don't want to talk in a public forum, which is obvious. But yeah, I do feel like we can maybe make another run at this and then maybe a couple other avenues. I don't like to give up on a circumstance, and it can't hurt to go knock on a door and have a casual conversation.
And to, Councilor Anderson's point, I think that I appreciate, it's sort of the soft touch that you put in the ordinance. But I think ultimately it's going to depend on, the police department's outreach anyway to get the desired results, even with the permit system. So maybe we ought to let the outreach work and let's hear from them about what they think might be doable. Just an idea.
Yeah. Thank you for the touches that you've already done with Ms. Timmerman's neighbor, and I wish you the best of luck with the touches to come.
Yeah, we'll definitely work on that and we'll give you an update if we're able to gain some progress on that.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for coming in on your evening. Okay. So with that, the good news is we're not adopting a fee schedule. We're deferring that tonight. But do we need to open this hearing and continue it, or we can just defer?
I believe you can just defer
There's
that
no
hearing.
clock or
there's
anything,
no
so
clock
we
for the
don't
fee
have
schedule.
to open and, okay, so we can just skip consolidated fee schedule and go to the election.
Can I ask a question? Is there a reason for deferring the fee schedule? Is it just time? Or is it something specific?
No, we got an email shortly before this meeting about the solid waste rates, and the finance director asked to pull it. It's his election to pull it. And, yeah. So it's just a double check and make sure we got all those things accurate in there before we adopt it. So moving on to election of state revenue sharing for 2027-2028. The public hearing on the city's election to accept state revenue sharing is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff report, take public comments, deliberate, and consider adopting 2 resolutions certifying that the city is eligible to receive state revenue and electing to accept state shared revenues. Does any council member wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I will turn it over to Finance Director Michael Osborne.
Thank you, Mayor Beatty. First, I just wanted to say with the fee schedule, there's a couple things that I just wanted to double check on that, and I appreciate you pulling that from this week, and we'll bring it back in 2 weeks on June 16th. Second is we are here to talk budget and pass a budget, and I wanted just to share for the state revenue sharing the amount of dollars that we're talking about. For fiscal year 2027, we're looking at well, for the biennium, I should say, we're looking at $1.650 million for liquor, cigarette tax, and other state shared revenues that come in through the general fund. And a total of $3.4 million coming in through state gas tax through the transportation fund. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, have we received any correspondence on this topic?
We have not.
Okay. Does anyone wish to comment on the proposed acceptance of state shared revenues? I'm not seeing anybody holding up hands. So we don't need staff response to testimony. Any final questions for staff? Okay, if there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment part of the hearing.
Mayor, I move to close the public comment part of the state revenue sharing hearing.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public comment part of the state revenue sharing hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The public comment part of the hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Is council ready to vote? I would entertain a motion.
That's us. I move to approve a resolution certifying that the city is eligible in the 2027-2028 biennium to receive state shared revenues because it provided 4 or more municipal services.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution certifying that the city is eligible in the 2027-2028 biennium to receive state shared revenues because it provided 4 or more municipal services. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. None heard. It passes unanimously. Now, resolution number 2.
I move to approve the resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing funds, general funds of the state, in the 2027-28 biennium.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenue sharing funds, general funds of the state, in the 2027-2028 biennium. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. None heard. It passes unanimously. Okay, now for the big kahuna. The public hearing on the biennial budget and capital improvement plan is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff report, take public comments, deliberate, and consider adopting the proposed biennial 2027-2028 city budget and capital improvement plan. Does any council member wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Mr. Osborne again.
Thank you again, Mayor Beatty. I am proud to deliver the biennium budget for 2027-2028 for the city of Milwaukie. It's a big effort, big lift. A lot of people in finance that helped out. Major kudos to Matt Deeds, who helped me go through this and took a lot of stuff off my plate. So to be able to get to this point today. I wanted to share just the budget at a glance. The total budget is $209 million. The city's tax rate is still 4.1367 per $1,000 of assessed value. The question came up at the end of the budget committee of what is our final FTE count? Our final FTE count as of in this budget is 163.25 positions. I'll get into, we added one position in this that I can talk about in the next slide that we talked about in the staff report. One question also too, Mayor, that you had at the end of the budget committee hearing was there's an amount of $855,000 for levy bonds. That's specifically for GO bonds that we took out in 2014 for the city light rail max. And then in 2017 for the library. So that 855 in fiscal year 27 and 856 in fiscal year 28 is for the principal and interest of that year for those debts.
And that's the money that we have to call out separately in the motion?
Yes, not in this one, but we did in the previous budget committee hearing. With that, before going to the next slide, any questions? I just have up there the generics of how this is kind of how the pie is sliced of the budget. Any questions?
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Okay, moving along. We did have two changes from what was approved by the budget committee to what is here tonight to the proposed adopted one. One is we are adding one FTE, a utility billing specialist. And the reason for that is we have one exceptional utility billing specialist who does the administration piece, the talking with customers piece. We recently had a utility assistance program workshop at the library 2 weeks ago. We're going to have another one here coming up in a couple weeks at City Hall. And I just realized that this person is extremely stretched thin. And it's time for the city to have a second UB billing specialist. I had put into the previous budget for an intern, a summer intern type position to go through and kind of do some audits and to kind of help solidify that all of our information in our system is correct. As we had meetings and looked into that more, we just realized this isn't something that we should do over a part-time basis, but we really should do on a full-time basis. So for that, I'm proposing that we add this utility billing specialist over the biennium. For full cost salary and benefits, that's $315,000 for the 2-year period. The second change that we've had is in transfers. And for one, the utility billing specialist would be 100% covered by the utilities. So this wouldn't be a general fund expense. This would be allocated out to water, wastewater, stormwater. The second change we had is in our calculations for transfers, we had double counted our sign and traffic coordinator. By doing that, by catching that double counting, we saw a reduction in 68,000 in the transfers. So the net change from the last budget that was adopted, that was approved by budget committee is, was 208,917,000. So the change that we're proposing to increase to this adopted budget is $247,000, which gets us to a total budget of $209,164,000.
If I can chime in there, first off, this isn't typical for the city to bring an amendment after the budget hearings, but it is permissible by budget law because it's under 10% of the overall budget. You may be watching the budget process to our neighbors to the north. They bring tons of amendments between the adoption of their proposed and then the council or the approval and then the adoption by their council. And this one, really, you heard us at the budget committee hearings talk about. We identified the need for several additional positions in our organizational assessment that we didn't end up putting in the budget because of how lean our budget is. You also, though, gave us some feedback at the hearing that Mike and I really took to heart, which is we do have some single points of failure in the organization. And to be honest, this is one of the ones that keeps me up at night the most. If Amy goes out on a long absence, we don't have someone else to do utility billing, and we need to do utility billing to keep our utilities running. You also know about the health of our general fund. The reason this move now, I am comfortable doing it, is because it is 100% funded by the utilities. It does not have an impact on our general fund. And we consulted with Peter. It also will not have an impact on rates. So this addition, while not a small amount of money, is not going to have an impact on changing utility rates from what you already approved. So to be transparent, and as we said in the staff report, you can choose not to move forward with this, and we can you can vote to approve the budget as it was on May 2nd. Then we would bring this forward in a budget adjustment. But we would love to have the time this summer to get this person hired so that they can hit the ground running, especially as you adopt your new, if you adopt your new water rate structure with the fee schedule. That will take a lot of work on our utility billing team.
And I'd add just briefly, rarely are there any positions that are going to add revenue. But this is one where I feel like it solidifies that everything that we're doing is doing accurately. And I feel strongly from this position that we can go through and really make sure that we're accurately billing everyone in the city. And I think that translates into a little bit more revenue that would generate, not paying for itself entirely, but portionately.
Any questions for staff? Have we received any correspondence?
We have not.
So I will say, I hope that Elvis Clark is okay, because we pretty much always hear from Elvis Clark in budgets, and we haven't heard from him this budget cycle. So I hope he's okay.
He was emailing me about transportation stuff the other day, so I think he's okay.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. Does anyone wish to comment on the proposed biennial budget and capital improvement plan? Not seeing any hands, no one online, okay. So staff doesn't need to respond to testimony. Any final questions for staff? Okay, if there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment part of the hearing.
Mayor, I move to close the public comment part of the biennial budget and capital improvement plan adoption hearing.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public comment part of the biennial budget and capital improvement plan adoption hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The public comment part of the hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the resolution adopting the City of Milwaukie budget and capital improvement plan for the biennium commencing July 1st, 2026, making appropriation, levying ad valorem taxes, and classifying levies pursuant to Section 11B, Article 11 of the Oregon Constitution, including amendments proposed since the May 2nd, 2026 Budget Committee hearing.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution adopting the City of Milwaukie budget and capital improvement plan for the biennium commencing July 1st, 2026, making appropriation, levying ad valorem taxes, and classifying levies pursuant to Section 11B, Article 11 of the Oregon Constitution, including amendments proposed since the May 2nd, 2026 Budget Committee hearing. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed say no. It passes unanimously. Yay, we have a budget. Michael is very happy. So we do have some council report. We have council reports. We do have an MRC meeting. Do we have an executive session?
We do not.
We do not, okay. Okay, scratch that, but we do have an MRC meeting to adopt that budget. But before we adjourn for that, any council reports people want to give?
Scott and I have one, but we'll defer to council first.
Yeah,
I'll give Counselor Massey.
yeah, I'll give quick ones on the Nikiwik. Basically, in the last meeting, the board approved their work plan for the next year and their budget strategy. They gave a back brief on your visit to the district. And that they're excited about the duck race coming up in July. The PARB also met. I'm having some trouble covering all these because the PARB and the Nikiwik are meeting at the same time, so I have to do a little time shifting.
Oh, wow.
So I try to figure out what's most important, and I run out front side from the PARB and zoom in on the Nikiwik. But at any rate, at the PARB, they gave Laura gave a debrief on the DAC meeting, and Michael came in, from Sonaglow, who did a brief discussion of the swim dock initiative. And I think that everyone knows about the issues with the contractor on Balfour Park. They've issued a new request for a proposal to try to get some response on that, because they didn't get any in the first round of proposal requests. They gave a back brief on Earth Day and the Bee City activities that were recently conducted. I will also say that it's not a formal committee report, but I basically checked into the Metro Regional Waste Advisory Committee meeting. It was pretty disappointing. And I'll start off with my first disappointments. Neither Martha Schrader, Denise McGriff, or Christine Lewis were in the meeting. Okay, so those are the people supposed to be representing us there, and they were all absent. So that's my first area of disappointment. Secondly, the staff reported on the concerns about controlling cost that came in via the letters from the mayors and from the letter that we sent in. And the response was they got those, and the responses on those were pretty, I thought they were weak. They kind of gave these sort of generic answers about what they were going to do, and it was all about examining the financial models and looking for efficiencies and all that. And I understand those sort of, they're trying to cast a broad net about things that they might do, but it really lacked any specificity. I can't get it out tonight, sorry, it's late. And if they'd have just come up with, if they were going to look for alternate, a disposal pass or something like that, if they could give us, an example of something they're looking at, some other city or state is doing, then I think it would give me, more confidence that they were taking this seriously. But I kind of got it was kind of like a Metro nothing burger, and this said, we got your concerns, but we're not going to request a change for the budget discussion with the commissioners in the vote, which will be in a couple of weeks. So I was disappointed by the meeting.
Did City of Portland had also written a letter? Did they have somebody there, or did they give testimony or anything?
Well, no. I mean, the interesting thing about that is that only the people who are assigned to the advisory committee can even speak.
Oh,
in other words, you zoom in and you can listen and watch, but there's no public testimony.
There's no public testimony.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
It was just,
Yeah.
it was disappointing.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for tracking that.
And I don't know if people have heard, but just a quick announcement that was, kind of sad to hear is that St. John's Catholic School is closing.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
After 107 years.
107.
This year?
This coming academic year, 107 years they've been in operation. They needed 90 students to be enrolled, and I think they only got 62 commitments.
Wow. I had not heard that. Wow. That's surprising.
That's all.
Okay, Counselor, you sounded like you had a report.
Oh, I got 3 of them. Are you sure you want them? You want me to save them?
Yeah, it's up to you. I mean, you can,
So,
I don't know how long they are, but yeah.
yeah, well, I'll do one today.
Okay.
The other 2, because today I had from 10 to noon was the LOC land use.
Oh, yeah.
And then from noon to 1 was the chamber.
Mhm.
Well, now I'll talk about the chamber too. The chamber just had a presentation from the Rose Quarter project, which was actually quite fascinating. I don't, if you don't know what the Rose Quarter project is, it's this huge, massive transportation project that ODOT is leading, to basically ease up the bottleneck on I-5 through the Albina neighborhood. There's also some components to reconnect the neighborhood as well, because some of that community connection, within the Black community was lost when the highway split it. So there's some cool stuff that they're doing. I mean, I know, I mean, I'll share this with you all because they're gonna send me, there's also a website address they gave us so we can like stay on top, as officials, we can stay on top of what's going on. And we can help get the word out because it's gonna be a nightmare.
When they start construction.
Logistically, like
Yeah.
basically, and that's why they were really talking to us, is 'cause basically everything's gonna get pushed over eastward, all that traffic. Because they're gonna have, the section of the 5 will be cut off, will be closed. Because they're moving exits, and then they're adding also a freeway cover over the freeway, which they're looking to hopefully do development on that as well, which I think is really cool. But it is gonna be a logistical nightmare in terms of cars getting around. It's gonna be really bad traffic, a lot of that stuff, because they're gonna have a way to get around, but it's gonna take you all the way around through downtown, I think, and then back to the 84 East. I mean, it's, and I'll send the maps of what they're planning on doing, but it's gonna be a traffic nightmare. There's a lot
And
of
is it
freight.
starting this year?
No, I'll go back and check
Yeah.
exactly when they're, but they were talking to the chamber specifically about the businesses because of the traffic, and they were asking basically for help to get the word out so people can plan ahead, because there's really nothing else you can do but plan ahead. So I think that's gonna put a lot of pressure on our infrastructure here. A lot of people are gonna be cutting through Milwaukie. A lot of people are gonna be trying to get over to the 205 because that's gonna be a big chunk of the highway or freeway that's gonna be closed there for a while. Because the freeway itself is basically falling apart. Because of the usage, the concrete has a 25-year lifespan. It's past 40 years now. The structural damage is there, some rebar issues. So it's gonna be it's a massive project. 2 things came to mind to me right off the bat. Logistics is gonna be a nightmare, and this is almost for sure gonna go over budget, just by looking at this thing. So brace yourselves for that, but I'll get that information out to all of you so you can see, because they're supposed to give us the slides for that presentation as well. So that was the whole presentation today, was just talking about that and what to expect. We also had a CAB meeting, a Community Action Board meeting yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, geez. That was our last meeting until September. Thank you. See? We kind of made it more of a retreat for a part of it, like I mentioned before. I know that we also went over like some of the needs assessment stuff, what that looks like. How that information is going to be ready, I believe, September as well, November timeframe, and we still plan on doing our listening session. There was some interesting information that we talked about with the individual savings plan program that the county has. So they didn't get, usually the county gets about 60,000 in that fund through grants. They did not get awarded the grant because they changed some of the parameters. So right now they only have like 21 people in that program. And this is a program that for every $1 the individual saves, the county matches it with 5. And it's a program that's designed to help people save to purchase a vehicle, buy a house, things that we all eventually would like to have the funds to do. But as we know, life is difficult and it's not always easy to do that. So we talked a little bit about that and thinking about what can be done about that. I asked about the county, if the county can backfill that. That was more of an up in the air answer. Didn't really get not really sure where that went. I just don't know if there's an appetite for that necessarily on the county commissioners because of all the budget issues that they currently have. I mean, but it's 60,000, come on. But one of the things we talked about was, since this is something that's a shared, you know, it's not like it just benefits one area, it benefits the entire county. If maybe, you know, we can go to different cities and ask cities to donate, you know, 5 to 10 grand, depending on, you know, 6 cities donate 10 grand, you have your 60,000, right? If you have 12 cities that donate 5 grand, well, you still got it. So we're trying to see if maybe that's an option. We can rally the cities, because this program does help everyone across the country, and we're all, like it or not, we're all connected in one way or the other. The retreat part was just, we kind of brainstormed on what people want to start doing, what people would want to stop doing, and what people want to continue to do. Some of the things that were brought up were really good. A lot of it was the members of CAB want to do more out in the community. They want to have a larger community presence. We talked about also, normally the leadership positions are elected. You know, that can be a issue too, because, you know, people, you don't want to nominate somebody and then another person feel bad. So we were talking about rotating the leadership. So every 2 years it gets rotated. That way everybody gets an opportunity to lead in one respect or the other, and they can develop their skills in a setting like that for outside. Compliments to Jennifer for that one. Talked about basically not having an executive committee per se to set the agenda, but everybody getting involved. We talked about using, not just relying on Loved One, because the county basically relies on them for everything, but partnering with, you know, more public-private partnerships, more conversation and relationship with our county commissioners, because like I said, none of them show up. None of them come to the CAB, and this deals specifically with poverty, and everybody runs on affordability, but not everybody shows up for it. So I'm hoping that changes with Sonia Fisher. I'm gonna extend an invitation for her to kind of be our liaison. There was some good stuff from the people on doing more educational stuff for the community as well. So it was, overall, it was great. I felt like we accomplished a lot, and I feel like we're gonna move in the right direction. It's gonna change things for the better, because more people are now gonna be involved in that. And then I'll save LOC, because that was there was a lot in there. And I was like driving at the same time, so I need to go back, watch it, and they're supposed to send us some info.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Stavenjorn?
Just a couple of updates. So this Friday, I know where all of you are going to be, because it's First Friday down in Milwaukie.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
I mean, there's also the state of the city. And then you can celebrate by going to First Friday. I want to really put a lot of thanks out there to the Downtown Alliance, and specifically Rob Campbell. I know you're watching. It's a big lift to organize First Friday, and I know that more than a few people who are out there in our community know that firsthand. There are changes this year. There are more hubs, like a hub model. Not our hub model, but hubs of activity downtown. And there's a really special series of events happening over at Made in Milwaukie on Friday. So I hope that you all make a stop over there. And there are other businesses that are not part of like an official activity hub, but are still staying open, and they have artists coming in, and music going on, and different things that are, you know, out in front of their businesses, and things that are inside their businesses. So anyway, with the summer season, it's more and more important to just get out and support, you know, everybody across the whole city. There's also a, darn it, I don't have the date right off the top of my head, but the Chapel Theater is having a grand opening of their annex. That is coming up, and it's on their social media page. but I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And wanted to let you know that at the last meeting of the Business of Milwaukie, we were visited by the Mount Hood Territories. It's the tourism office for Clackamas County. We had a really, really good conversation and some exciting discussion about how to collaborate with them a little bit more, hopefully bring some funding into Milwaukie. We talked about the tourism grants that their office has released, and hopefully there will be a few applications going in from Milwaukie, either businesses or coalitions of businesses. So I think that's pretty exciting. And I think the word on the street is that there's just more collaboration happening downtown. And I shouldn't just say downtown, because, you know, folks that are attending meetings are coming from all over the city, and it's really, really exciting. It's nice to feel that, you know, that electric energy in those meetings. So anyway, just wanted to add a couple of those notes, and we'll see you all at the State of the City. I was saving the best for last. Oh.
Well, and I would notice in that citywide sort of collaboration, I think I saw that B-Side Records and Cirxus are doing an event at Freeman Barrel House.
Oh, you might be talking about the grown-ups, pun intended. So Cirxus and B-Side collaborated to have an April Fool's Day celebration. It was pun intended, and it was 4 rounds of pun battles. You didn't have to participate in all 4 rounds, but you could, if you wanted, win everything from, you know, like basic, for lack of a better term, like dad jokes to like pun monologues. One of the winners was Nicole, in the pun monologues. And then you go to the boss level and you have to compete against the punisher. And yeah, it was, hilarity ensued. One of the judges was the city's very own Dan Harris. Oh yes, yeah. There's no video footage of what happened. Anyway, so everyone had such a great time that Freeman Barrel House is also interested in hosting, and they're gonna host the one for the grown ups. Anyway, so this is a labor of love for Liz Start, and she is running with it.
Yeah.
So yes, that is definitely coming up. And actually, you reminded me, Mayor, I'm sorry. I know, I can see Robert yawning, and so I'm gonna filibuster for a little bit longer. There are a number of businesses in Milwaukie that made it into the Willamette Week's Best of Portland Reader's Choice categories. So if you don't know the process behind this, over 41,000 nominations from the entire Portland metro area were culminated into these lists of goods and services and places to go and famous people and places to eat. And because it's the Portland metro area, that of course includes Clackamas County. And so there are multiple businesses. Spoken Word is in the running for Best Bookstore. All those nominations, they put together lists of the top 5 in these categories. And so, I mean, it's an honor to be in the top 5 and have so many Milwaukie businesses in the top 5 of these lists. But if we get the votes going, then we might actually be able to put Milwaukie on the map as like Spoken Word last year got 2nd place.
Yeah, only to
so it's huge. And so Luna's Ice Cream is on there, Milwaukie Bottle Shop, Made in Milwaukie for best screen printing, which I can attest to, and also your record store.
In 2 categories.
Yes, in 2 categories. So if you're voting often and early.
And what's What is the last day to vote?
I think it's the 17th of June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so all of the votes will be tabulated, and then the top 5 in those groups will be ranked.
All right, folks, so,
June 17th.
yeah, you need to
Yeah.
vote for community choice grants by June 15th and vote for Best of Portland votes by June 17th. So do them all before June 15th, just to be safe.
Yeah, don't procrastinate. It'll end badly.
Right. Council President?
I've got 2 quick ones.
Okay.
C4, if you don't have a busy enough Friday already, is having their retreat on Friday. I think I'm gonna try and time Turner and maybe go before and then come back for the State of the City, or I don't know what I'll do. But they're talking about transportation and economic development. Those are the 2 themes, so I'll report back on what that actually looks like after. It'll be, yeah, same place as always, or maybe not always, but same place it has been. And then the other thing was on the 7th, there's going to be a community potluck that the neighbors around 29th Avenue are doing to celebrate the new stop signs and installations that we've got there. So if you want to swing by, it's going to be 11 to 1. And I think on Bike Milwaukie, they should be posting something about it too with more details. The 7th. But if you want to show up 11 to 1 this Sunday, it'll be fun. Is it really? It is, yeah, this Sunday. I just have like no sense of time right now.
That's $1 in the jar. That's $1 in the jar.
Yeah,
'cause
that
you
is
were wrong.
$1 in the
That's
jar.
$1 in the
Hey,
middle
we
jar.
never established an amount per violation, but that is a pretty bad one. I just live by my calendar. I look each day and it tells me what to do.
Wow.
Thank you, City Manager Sager.
Okay, I probably could do a report on SHS and a couple other things, but the only thing I'll really report on is my trip to Washington, D.C. I went to D.C. the week before Memorial Day. I spent the first 3 days of that week running all around in 95-degree weather. The gods did not smile on me weather-wise. It was 95 at the beginning when I was having to wear business attire, and it was 62 and raining when I was hanging out with my friends. So it was not great weather-wise, but it was a very useful trip. I think I'm really glad I went. I met with people from 3 federal agencies: Department of Transportation, Federal Highways, NOAA, Fisheries, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I met with Senators Wyden and Merkley and Rep. Bynum, and also staff for Rep. What's her name? Hoyle, thank you. Yeah. And then a bunch of committee staff, usually generally minority committee staff. It was the things I take away is, first off, the transportation people said they are opening the culvert AOP, Notice of Funding Opportunity, and another one called Protect, which were 2 of the funding pots that the dam team has been watching since last year, that did not open last year, but they promised they were both opening in short order. And in fact, the first one should be opening by now, based on what they said. So those are applications that hopefully the Kellogg project will be eligible for funding. The other thing I learned is really, you probably didn't need me to tell you, but our capital is very dysfunctional. And we were the one, there were a lobbyist who went with me to these meetings. We were the ones telling Hill staffers that these things were coming out. They had not heard it from the agencies themselves, even though many of them, those agencies come to them for their appropriations, but they, and the communication between majority and minority, not happening. It was very disappointing, but I think it was good. No guarantees, obviously, but I think it was good to be there and put pictures of the dam. It was really good. There's a really good aerial photo that I hadn't seen before until I went on this trip that really shows you, the 2 bridges and the dam underneath and stuff. It was taken from a drone, obviously, and it was a good trip, and fingers crossed that we can find some funding to remove that thing, which we do not call a dam. We call it a box culvert over a weir, because that is the classification for the culvert project. And I guess technically, if you're an expert in those things, that is what it is. But it was funny. I was advised, don't call it a dam. So. Yeah.
It has a great ring to it.
Okay.
Mayor, Scott and I do have one quick thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just logistics for next week's study session.
Oh,
So
yeah.
thanks for all getting back to me about scheduling. So we are on for a site visit at 2 recycling facilities owned by Waste Connections, starting at 4 p.m. I would recommend we meet there, just for ease. And I don't think we could all fit in the city van. It'd be squishy. So I think we should meet there.
Okay.
It's out east. It's on.
Yeah, it's off of
Proclamation
Highway
Road.
212, I think.
Yeah. We have scheduled an executive session back here at 5:45. Should be a short one, but our hope then is you can all come back here, do that. We'll be done around 6:15.
So we should just coordinate among ourselves in terms of carpooling.
Carpooling,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Does that work?
We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. If nothing else other than the MRC, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the regular session.
Point of order. Did we already read the?
Oh, I didn't
MRC?
read it, sorry. Immediately following the regular session meeting, the city council will convene as the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission. If you would like to stay for that meeting, please stay where you are here at City Hall or on the Zoom webinar. The MRC will meet here in chambers and on the same Zoom session. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. We are adjourned from the regular session. Now, I call the Redevelopment Commission meeting to order. This meeting is being conducted by video conference. Since we don't have any public that might want to speak, can I just forgo the script? Okay. Is there any discussion about the December 2nd, 2025 commission minutes? Seeing none, I move to approve the December 22nd, 2025 redevelopment commission meeting minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I will entertain a motion.
You can
Well, yeah,
technically
you
move.
I'm sorry.
I'll second that emotion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the December 2nd, 2025 redevelopment commission meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Minutes are approved. All right, adoption of the 2027-2028 MRC Biennial budget. The public hearing on the proposed redevelopment commission budget is called to order. The purpose of this meeting is to hear the staff report, take public comments, deliberate, and consider adopting the budget. Does any commissioner wish to announce actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Mr. Osborne.
Thank you again, Mayor Beatty. We're here to talk, to approve the budget for the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission for the budget year 2027 and 2028. A quick summary on the MRC budget. This proposed total budget is $9.933 million. We have a budgeted property tax revenue of $3.234 million. In this MRC budget, we changed it a little bit from previous budgets. We've added a personnel services cost for $682,000. This is for various staff time that helps support the MRC. There's $1,062,000 in materials and services, a capital budget of $4.780 million, and debt service of $674,000. I also want to note that there's transfers of $440,000 in this budget. If there's any questions I can have or answer.
So the total budget number, that almost $10 million, is accrued increment at this point, plus what's left of what we bonded for?
No, I believe that proposed budget is the full, that's our expenditure. Isn't that our expenditures for this period?
Yes, it's got, so this is, the expenses that are 70% of it. There's also contingency into that, and, sorry,
Does it include starting fund balance?
it does include starting.
Okay, so starting fund balance, yeah, okay.
Okay. Other questions for Mr. Osborne? If none, have we received any correspondence?
We have not.
Okay. Do we have anyone wishing to comment on this budget? Nope. Okay, Mr. Stoffer, anybody online? Okay, so I'm not gonna read that script. Last chance for questions for staff. All right, if there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the
Could
public.
I make one statement? I don't have a question, but for the benefit of those who may be watching, a replay of this on YouTube or wherever, you may have concerns that the city council is sort of blowing through, spending big amounts of money on both the budget and the MRC, which is over $200 million. And so I don't want people to come away with the idea that we're just, they're throwing some numbers up and we're saying, because about a month ago, a full day was set aside on a Saturday where the full budget committee went through the budget and the city's budget and the MRC budget in a great detail. So if you're interested in those kind of things, you can find the video of that at your normal location. So I just don't want folks to come away with the idea that this is not being given the attention that it deserves.
Valid point.
Well
Valid
said.
point for sure. Yeah. So if there are no more questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment part of the MRC budget adoption hearing.
I move to close the public comment part of the hearing on the proposed MRC budget.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public comment part of the hearing on the proposed MRC budget. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. None heard. The public comment part of the public hearing on the proposed 2027-2028 Redevelopment Commission budget is closed. Is there any discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution adopting the budget for the biennium commencing July 1st, 2026, making appropriations and declaration of tax increment.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution adopting the budget for the biennium commencing July 1, 2026, making appropriations and declaration of tax increment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. None heard. It passes unanimously. Are there any further MRC reports?
They're not.
Okay. We do not have an executive session. That was canceled. Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to read that. I move to adjourn the commission meeting.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the commission meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The commission meeting is adjourned. All right. That's the day today, kids.